Okay, let's say you inserted your plans or whatever it is you're drawing into a different scale. You could take this thing, I'm going to copy it over so that we can compare the two, and you could take this object and go to Object Transform Scale, and let's make it twice the size, 200%. Okay, and there it is. Notice that this object, if you look at, since this is a PDF file, you look at this thing and compare the two different scale that we did. What do you notice?
It's half its size.
Correct, okay. Spacing is different for the line type. Notice that this is here, this has that much space, that has that much space. Notice that the line weights, it's doubled in size because I basically scaled it up 200%. Okay, and these lines are also 200%, although the thin doesn't really seem that much because it really isn't. But it is because it's treating this drawing as an image, that it is just scaling up or scaling down accordingly. If I take this object and scale it to 50%, it's going to show half the width and half the space. Okay, so just be careful when you make a mistake and insert the object at a different scale and then say, oh, just scale it up and it'll be all right. It isn't going to be all right. Okay, so just be careful about that. Okay, so now let's try the same thing with our vector file stuff. So this one right here, which is the DWG drawing that we placed into this file, let's copy this and see what happens here. So this, when I try to scale it up, transform, scale, let's say 200%, there it is. What happened? Just made the object bigger, kept the same line type scale and the line weights. That might be useful when you don't want to change the line weights, because yeah, your presentation board is going to be your presentation board. So what that means is that if you create your drawing and make it into a PDF to insert into your presentation board, you have to have the end in mind. Okay, you have to know exactly what scale that you're going to use, that you're going to place into your final presentation board. That way you can scale your line weights accordingly and also scale your line type accordingly, or line weight. No. Line type scale accordingly, as well as their line weights accordingly. Did I clear that up? Okay. However, if you place this in as a DWG file, that means that whatever you scale, it's just going to remain the same. The one bad thing about it is that whatever line type that you placed in may not exactly show up in Illustrator, because Illustrator doesn't recognize that line type that AutoCAD named. It will recognize that it is some sort of dashed line and all that, because it will fill that out for you, but you're going to have to change that scale manually. Okay. Also, as these drawings go, you can go ahead. This is a vector drawing, so if you select this object, you can change the line weights here as well. Okay, so if this one I need it to be a little bit bigger, I can change that. Okay, so these are all individual lines, individual vectors, so you can change all that stuff. You can also do this thing. No, I guess you can't. You'll have to turn this into layer. These are linked files, so you cannot. There is a way to change your PDF into a readable line, which means that you can change some of these objects there, but then that kind of defeats the purpose of keeping something that you set up in AutoCAD and having it look exactly the way you want it to look before you place it into the presentation. Okay, so those are basically the two different ways of placing your drawing files into Illustrator. And for that, with this, you can do this exercise on your own and then practice with your hillside house project. Okay. For the hillside house project, you're going to change you're going to separate out all of your drawings. So separate out the floor plan, separate out the elevation, separate out the section and such, so that it can be brought in as a different layer altogether. And then you could always rename these layers and all that in Illustrator. That way you can maneuver all these stuff around the space accordingly. Okay?